You pull into a parking lot, you turn off the engine, and for just a second, you sit there. Not because you're tired, not because you're checking your phone, but because you're thinking about that number that hits your bank account every single month. $423, $587, $712. And the weird part? You don't even love the car anymore. You used to. The first month, you parked far away so nobody dinged it. The second month, you wiped fingerprints off the screen. The third month, it was just a car. But the payment? That stayed excitingly painful. And what really messes with your head is this thought. I make decent money, so why do I feel broke? Okay, yeah, if that hit a little too close to home, don't worry. You're not stupid, you're not bad with money. You just fell into the car payment trap no one talks about. My name is Jack, and I spend way too much time thinking about why normal, intelligent people stay stressed about money even when their income goes up. And if you're someone who earns more than you used to, but somehow feels like you're running in place, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, because this one is going to mess with how you see cars forever. Here's the thing. Nobody wakes up and says, you know what I want? I want a financial weight tied to my ankle for the next 6 years. That's not how it happens. It happens quietly, politely, with air conditioning and leather seats. You walk into a dealership just to look. They ask what you're driving now. They ask what you do for work. They smile a lot. And then they say the most dangerous sentence in personal finance. What monthly payment are you comfortable with? Now look, the moment that question becomes the focus, you've already lost. Because you're no longer buying a car. You're renting a lifestyle. Here's what most people don't realize. Car payments don't just take money from you. They reshape your entire financial behavior. Let me show you how. Say you earn $60,000 a year. After taxes, maybe $3,800 a month hits your account. You decide $500 a month for a car is reasonable. That's about 13% of your take-home pay. Doesn't sound insane, right? But this is where it gets interesting. That $500 isn't just $500, because now you need full coverage insurance. That's another $150. Maintenance on a newer, more complex car. Call it $75. Higher registration, higher tires, higher repairs when something breaks out of warranty. Now your $500 car is quietly costing you $750 a month. That's $9,000 a year. And statistically, the average American keeps a car payment for about 70 months, according to Experian. That's nearly 6 years of $9,000 a year. That's $54,000 for something that loses value every single day you own it. And before you say, yeah, but I need a reliable car, hold that thought. We'll come back to it. Because this isn't about reliability. This is about psychology. Here's the part nobody explains. Once you have a car payment, your brain rewrites your budget around it. You don't say, can I afford this dinner? You say, well, the car payment already came out, so... You don't say, can I invest more this month? You say, after the car payment, I'll see what's left. This is the same psychological trap as lifestyle inflation, but worse, because unlike rent or groceries, a car payment doesn't flex. It doesn't care if you had a slow month. It doesn't care if you want to save. It doesn't care if your goals change. It shows up every month, on time, aggressively. And here's the shocking stat. According to the Federal Reserve, nearly 1 in 9 Americans are behind on car payments right now. Not luxury buyers, not reckless spenders, regular people. Because cars are sold as transportation, but financed like status symbols. Now you might be thinking, okay, Jack, but I didn't buy a fancy car. I bought something practical. Cool. Let's talk about the practical car trap. You finance a $28,000 sensible vehicle at 7% interest for 72 months. By the time you're done paying it off, you've paid about $35,000 total. And here's the kicker. After 6 years, that car is maybe worth $10,000, if you're lucky. So you worked 6 years to lose $25,000. And during those 6 years, you couldn't quit a job you hated. You couldn't take a pay cut to switch careers. You couldn't invest aggressively. You couldn't handle emergencies easily. Because the car quietly became your financial boss. This is why people feel trapped even when their income rises, because income growth feels good, fixed payments feel heavy, and car payments are the fastest way to turn freedom into obligation. Here's where most people object. But leasing is smarter. But interest rates were low. But everyone has a car payment. Yes, and everyone is stressed. This is where the math meets the mind. When you finance a car, you're committing future income to past decisions. That sounds harmless until you realize how often life changes. Jobs change, relationships change, goals change, but the payment stays. And psychologically, that creates something called loss aversion. You'll tolerate a bad job longer because losing the car feels worse than losing happiness. You'll avoid risks that could increase your income because stability feels safer when you're locked into payments. You don't feel poor because you are poor. You feel poor because your money is already spoken for. Let me give you a real example. Two people earn $70,000 a year. Person A drives a financed SUV with a $650 payment. Person B drives a paid-off older car. Same income, same city, same rent. But person B invests $650 a month. Assume a conservative 8% return. After 6 years, person B has about $60,000 invested. Person A has a car worth maybe $12,000. That's a $48,000 difference. Same income, same life, different decision. And here's the wild part. Person A probably feels more successful because success is marketed, not measured. Dealerships don't sell cars. They sell identity. The ad doesn't say, "This will cost you $9,000 a year." It says, "You deserve this." And that's the trap. When your purchases are tied to self-worth, math loses. Now let's talk about reliability, because this is where people get defensive. Yes, older cars break. True, but newer cars break too. They break expensively. The average car repair bill in the U.S. is around $500 to $600. That's one car payment. So the question isn't, will my car ever need repairs? It's, do I want predictable repairs or predictable debt? Because debt is just a repair bill that never ends. Here's what most people don't realize. A paid-off car turns emergencies into inconveniences. A financed car turns inconveniences into crises. That's the psychological difference. Now let me be very clear. This is not about never buying a nice car. This is about timing. Buying a car before you have assets is backwards because cars don't build wealth. They consume it. And the biggest lie in personal finance is that you can afford it if the payment fits your budget. That's like saying you can afford junk food because it fits your calories today. Long-term damage doesn't announce itself. It accumulates. So what do you actually do? First, stop thinking in monthly payments. Think in total cost. If the number makes you uncomfortable, that's your answer. Second, set a rule. If you can't pay cash for a car, you can't afford that car. Not because financing is evil, but because cash forces honesty. Third, use cars as tools, not trophies. Your future self does not care what you drove at 28. They care about options. And here's the motivation part nobody tells you. The fastest way to feel rich isn't making more money. It's removing fixed obligations, because every payment you eliminate buys you flexibility. Flexibility to quit, flexibility to invest, flexibility to breathe. And once you experience that, a car payment feels insane. So if this video made you slightly uncomfortable, good. That means you're waking up. Because the car payment trap doesn't ruin people loudly, it drains them quietly. And the moment you see it, you can't unsee it. You start buying freedom instead of financing stress. And that's when money finally works for you instead of the other way around.